everyone, Jim from Javelin here with a SolidWorks tech tip. I have a fairly common issue here. I have a pipe that's going through a sheet metal panel, and it's not going through perpendicular, it's going through at an angle. In this case I have it at a 30-degree angle. What I want to do is I want to include a cutout in my sheet metal part for this pipe. An amateur way to do it would be to create an oversized circle. That'll be all nice and good for the width, but for the height I'm going to end up with oversized gaps. Another way of doing it, which might be kind of easy to machine, would be to create a slot. However, if you look at the shape where these two faces intersect, you would find that there would be an elliptical shape. Let's see if I can demonstrate that using an intersection curve. I'm going to try creating an intersection curve between these two faces. There we go. So you can see I have that elliptical shape. So that would be the ideal size, or ideal shape for a hole that goes through this piece. Let's cancel this though. And what I want to do is I want to actually create that feature. So how do I go about doing that? Well, firstly, I could try and use that sketch that I just created, but the problem is that when I go to cut through, if my material is too thick, then it ends up leaving, or actually what ends up happening is either I end up with an angled cut, or I end up with too much land on one side, which would cause an interference. Doing a normal cut would allow me to go through like that, but it would interfere with the pipe. Let's take a look at some of the options that I have available to me. The first option that I have, let's do an assembly level cut. So I'm just going to create a sketch here, and I'm going to use offset entities in order to offset my pipe a certain distance, just to make sure that I have a little bit of clearance in there. Next, I can go to assembly and then do assembly features to do an extruded cut through all. For my feature scope, I'm going to make sure that instead of choosing auto select, I'm going to select just the sheet metal part. Let's also choose to propagate the feature to the parts so that it shows up in my sheet metal part. When I click OK, you'll notice it looks like it worked like a charm. And in fact, if I look at it on this angle here, it did in fact clear for it. However, if I were to look at if I were to take a look at this face here, this face is not perpendicular to that face. I end up with a sharp edge here on the inside because this face, the axis of that face is parallel to the axis of this face. That's to be expected, but that's not what's desired. Let's take another look at what I can do to my cut extrude. Ideally, I would want this to have normal cut, or have the option for normal cut, but you'll notice that because I'm not in sheet metal mode, I don't have the option over here for normal cut. So what can I do about this? Let's delete this. Yep. And I'm going to delete this as well. Yep. Okay. So starting over, how do I do this? Well, let's try editing the sheet metal part. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to edit the part within the context of the assembly. Once I'm in here, I'll select this face. I won't be able to select it unless I hold down the Shift key. And I'm going to make a sketch on that face. So let's create a sketch. So now I've created a sketch on that face. Again, I'll use offset entities. And let's try doing a cut extrude now. So go to features, extruded cut. But now, because I'm editing the sheet metal part, look at this. I've got all of my functionality for a sheet metal part. Through all, I'm going to choose normal cut. And when I pick OK, what you'll see is that I maintain that clearance all the way around, but you'll notice I can see this face on this view. If I rotate around, you'll see I can see it there. It's perpendicular to this face, and it's that elliptical shape.